In my recent reviews, we've explored the heavy hitters of the LEGO world, the high-speed passenger trains, the massive freight haulers, and the cutting-edge aviation sets that kept our 1980s towns moving. But here's the thing, all that freight has to go somewhere. A train full of cargo is just a rolling traffic jam if you can't unload it. To keep our plastic economy booming, we need some serious infrastructure. We need engineering. We need a depot. Today, we're stepping back to 1986 to look at a titan of the grey era tracks. It's an engineering marvel designed to bridge the gap between rail and road. But before we clock in, you're going to need to get your work boots, a high-vis vest, and an essential hard hat. I'm Lord Paul, and this is Lord Paul's Bricks. Welcome back, LEGO train fans. If you're new here, grab a seat in the observation car. You've got a lot of track to catch up on. And if you're a veteran of the depot, sign in at the gate and get back to work. Today, we're unboxing a cornerstone of the classic era, set 7823, the container crane depot. Released in 1986, this set was the missing link for any serious freight layout. But before we hoist the first container, do me a massive favour, load up on that like button. It helps the algorithm deliver our cargo to new viewers, and I'm on a mad dash to 1,000 subscribers, and having you on board makes the journey so much faster. But also, let's get the train conversation going in the comments. With 467 pieces and 2 hard-working minifigures, this was a heavyweight for the mid-1980s. You get a massive gantry crane, a specialised train wagon, a delivery truck, and a pair of containers, all built on the then new and updated road plate. I've had this beauty in my collection since I pulled it off a toy store shelf in 1987. The box has some battle scars, but it still sports that iconic silver train styling. But check out the back, LEGO gives us these amazing alternative builds and plenty of play ideas right on the packaging. This set also features an over-engineered slide-out cardboard tray. They just don't make them like they used to. A quick clip through the instruction booklet shows us our usual step-by-step build-up of the truck, train, carriage, and the crane gantry. But how much cash do you need to add this to your town? Let's find out now. Now, let's talk business. In the LEGO world, the train tax is real. Sets with tracks usually cost a premium, but how much will it apply to this set? While this set was released in 1986, I purchased this in 1987 for $69.95 in Australia. I believe it was about $52 in the United States. With 467 pieces of this set makes 15.0 and 11.1 cents per piece. There's been some inflation since 1987, and that adjusts pricing to $243 in Australia and around $155 in the US. That's 52 and 33.2 cents per piece, and it is certainly a better ratio than other train sets that I've reviewed. If I do a scroll through Bricklink, a good second-hand set complete with box and instructions would set you back about 210 Aussie dollars, which equates to about $150 US dollars. This is fascinating. It means that the set has tracked well with inflation. It's not just a toy, it's a stable investment, though finding one for sale is becoming about as rare as a misprinted brick. Now, there are a couple of guys here to keep these containers moving, so let's catch up with them now. Let's meet the guys keeping this operation running. They're ready and raring to go. The crane operator has a blue torso with a white 6-button work shirt print, blue legs, and a red construction helmet. This minifigure combination was in an extensive 21 sets between 1980 and 2003. The blue torso was seen in 54 sets between 1979 and 2003, with the construction helmet dating way back to 1978. It's still used today and has been in nearly 300 sets. The truck driver has style with a red torso with a white zipper jacket pattern, black legs, and red classic cap. This minifigure combination was only seen in one other set back in 1983, and this torso was in 19 sets between 1980 and 2003, while the classic cap has been in around 400 sets over the last 50 years. But I'm sure that these guys have some bits and pieces to work with, and now is the time that we have a look at those bits now. This is an interesting set for me because the piece selection is quite straightforward without too many rare pieces. Most LEGO enthusiasts could probably build this set from their parts bin. First though, we have a sticker sheet that features some yellow and black hazard sticker signs, as well as some stickers for the sides of the containers. The base plate uses the then new 32x32 straight road plate that featured a bicycle path on each side of the roadway. This was used in about a half dozen sets between 1986 and 1996, including some supplemental kits where you could just buy the road plates on their own. The key piece of the crane is the 2x4x2 reel winch, and this has been in 66 sets between 1978 and 2003. The end of the crane string is the 1x4x1 black metal hook that was introduced in this set, appeared in 10 sets up until 1999. The crane cockpit has a couple of windscreens, with one being the 2x4x2 inverted windscreen that was first seen in 1982, used in 18 sets up until 2011. There are a couple of hinge pieces, with the first being the 1x2.5 tile with 2 fingers on top. That was a massive 165 sets between 1983 and 2006. Connecting to this is the 1x2 hinge plate with 3 fingers on the end. This piece was in 220 sets from 1981 to 2006. There's a variation of this piece with solid studs that was less common. In modern times, we have the locking hinge pieces that fill the purpose of the older hinge. This modern hinge has more friction that offers improved play and far better posing for your sets. The front of the truck features a 3x4 wedge plate, which is the older style without stud notches. This piece was used in 272 sets between 1985 and 2006. In 2003, an updated version of this piece was introduced, and the advantage is that it sits flat on a plate, and that is what is still used today. Many of the train sets of this era are on sale for 46 years, and as a result, there were minor changes to some pieces that were updated or changed slightly as production continued with the sets. An example of this is the 1x1 plate with light ring attachment. Early versions of this set had the thin ring version of this piece that was in 57 sets between 1980 and 1986. The later version had a thicker ring, but was also introduced in 1980, but that's the version that is still used today after being in 1,700 sets. As stood the test of timepiece today is the 1.5x2x2 ladder, which was first seen in 1980. It is still used today and has been in 450 sets. But let's slap some of these pieces together and see if we can get a crane operating today. As we saw with the build instructions, we have 12 pages of building delight to get through, so let's get started. We start with the very handy blue and white flatbed truck and its 11 steps. This comes together quickly and it's really ready for action. Next up is the train carriage, starting with the underside, and once wheels are added, we flip it over and build on the plates to secure the containers once they're loaded. The containers are next, and they're a simple but nice design, and they do match the blue and white of the truck. The main part of our build starts with some bricks and rails on the road plate. The sliding bases for the crane are built up and placed on each side of the roadway. The vertical posts that support the upper parts of the crane go up, and they're secured to the base. The 2 horizontal beams that secure the crane are easy to put together, and once I have these built, they attach to the post with some Technic pins. The bright red crane unit is basically two different assemblies that come together, and the first is the driver's cabin. The main element is the crane mechanism, which I have partially built off screen so that the cable string was threaded through correctly. The 2 elements come together, we slide them onto the crane structure, and we finish off the crane with the final section that encloses the superstructure and attach the train track to one side of the base plate. Once all the pieces are assembled and attached, we have, obviously, a finished set. This is a good set in terms of function, and there is some vintage realism to the grey of the structure, although the structure is more substance over style. The colours used for the crane, containers, and the truck pop off from the grey, and the hazard stickers really do stand out. The truck is simple, and the train carriage is quite realistic when you see how basic real-life container train carriages look. But let's dive into the review and see some more detail of my thoughts on this set. Like all my vintage set reviews, I try to score these sets in the context of when the set was first released, which in this case was 1986. For piece selection, it gets a 3 out of 5. Even considering the piece palette of the time, the pieces used for this set are all quite generic with no rare or unique pieces. There are also only a couple of simple printed pieces. The minifigures are a 4 out of 5. 2 minifigures for a set of this size is about right, but we have one minifigure that was very rare, and the other, he'd been seen in 21 sets and had a really common torso. The building enjoyment is a 4 out of 5, which is strong considering the basic selection of pieces that we are working with. It's a handy structure with the use of the Technic bricks and the connectors, and the threading of the string though is like setting up a sewing loom. The playability is a 4.5 out of 5. It does an exceptional job at executing its brief. It's simple to operate, and the road plate gives some great options for placing this set in your classic town. If you want, you can do away with the train track and use this setup on a wharf to unload a cargo ship, which is another option. That gives us 15.5 out of 20 for this crane depot. The 7823 container crane depot might not seem the prettiest set in the catalogue, but it certainly is a workhorse. It does exactly what it says on the tin. It moves cargo, it looks industrial, and it makes your Lego layout feel like a living, breathing world. Here is a small demonstration of the mechanism and movement of the crane assembly. Unload the train carriage by lifting the container. The crane rolls back and is perfectly loaded onto the truck waiting underneath. The train carriage is simple, and the red cones add the right amount of colour, and it fits in well with other freight train carriages of the era. The truck is really simple, and it would have been great to have had a longer truck to carry both containers, but maybe I'm asking too much. So there you have my take on set 7823 Container Crane Depot. I think it does well, and I'm a bit of a fan, and if you've got this far, you must be a fan as well, so let me know by loading on that like button. There are always vintage set reviews in the pipeline, so by subscribing with notifications on, you'll be the first in the queue to check them out, and you'll also get me closer to my 1,000 subscriber goal. And very important though, keep the train chatter going in the comments. I read and respond to all. Tell me about your favourite train experiences. So keep on building and keep expanding your amazing vintage, or maybe it's a modern, Lego world. I'm Lord Paul, and this is Lord Paul's Bricks, and bye for now.